Beep code 4. Current limit timeout. You put the key into the key switch and turn it to the on position. The control panel will beep 4 times, pause, and beep 4 times until you turn it off. This beep code occurs when the motor has exceeded its maximum current rating for too long. This may be due to a faulty motor, poor battery condition, excessive uphill driving, or excessive weight. First, turn off the scooter and allow it to cool for 10 minutes. If this does not work, use the following procedure. Tools needed: Phillips screwdriver, multimeter. Turn the key to the off position. Make sure that the freewheel lever is engaged. Lift up the seat release lever and remove the seat. Remove the battery pack. Inspect the connection between the motor and the rear intermediate motor harness. If either connectors are discolored or melted, then replace the drivetrain assembly. Set your multimeter to measure resistance, at least 100 ohms. Disconnect the motor harness from the rear intermediate motor harness. Measure resistance across pin 1 and pin 2 on the motor harness. The resistance should be 50 ohms or less but not shorted. It can be as low as 0.2 ohms. If it's more than 50 ohms, replace the drivetrain. Remove the floor basket. Use a Phillips screwdriver to remove the rear floor mat. Measure resistance across pin 2 on the rear intermediate motor harness and the black wire on the front intermediate motor harness. The measurements should be 10 ohms or less. Measure resistance across pin 1 on the rear intermediate motor harness and the red wire on the front intermediate motor harness. The measurements should be 10 ohms or less. If both readings are less than 10 ohms, then replace the controller. See the controller replacement video. Inspect the connection between the front intermediate motor harness and the rear intermediate motor harness. Make sure they are clean and free of rust. If they are discolored or corroded, then replace as necessary. Take a quarter and slide it into contacts 2 and 4 on the front intermediate motor harness. If any of the contacts do not hold the quarter firmly, then replace the front intermediate motor harness. Check for continuity across pin 2 and contact 1 on the rear intermediate motor harness. The measurements should be 10 ohms or less. Check continuity across pin 1 and contact 3 on the rear intermediate motor harness. The measurements should be 10 ohms or less. If any of the wires are open, then replace the rear intermediate motor harness. Check for continuity across contact 2 and the black wire on the front intermediate motor harness. The measurements should be 10 ohms or less. Check for continuity across contact 4 and the red wire on the front intermediate motor harness. The measurements should be 10 ohms or less. If any of the wires are open, then replace the front intermediate motor harness.